The education is still needed, basic education. And yet again, another reason I'm re-entering this space is to do just that. I plan on doing workshops. I'm already partnered with a woman's shelter in Dallas. I'll be doing workshops there monthly, and for whatever other opportunity or group that fits with. But even just having a conversations on basics, wash, condition, what do I do going to sleep, what do I do daily. If you ask 10 different Black women that, you might not get 10 straight answers. And yeah, you're going to get 10 different. And the other thing is, it's not going to be a lot of conviction in those answers. It's a lot of guessing.
Yes.
Even if you are doing the right thing, it helps to know you're doing the right thing, because it just has more weight when you know it versus guessing. So I'm really excited to be back in the space and to put myself out there to help fill in that gap. I often say that, and I might as well like coin it or something like that. But I'm serious about filling in the gap, because there's a lot of gaps, and we have a lot of knowledge between each other, and the gaps should be small. So I'm doing my part to help close the gap, and just let's do some simple education and be out here to support each other, because we're a wealth of knowledge and we should use it as much as possible. As much as possible. So switching gears just a bit, tell me a bit about your personal hair journey. Well, you already touched on going from short and carefree to beautiful, full, lush, and natural. What's the biggest change for you from your younger years to now in terms of how you see your hair, how you care for your hair?
That's so. When I was young, I mean, my hair was waist length when I was young. It's always been as thick as it is, rather. And I had two aunts who were stylists, and so hair has always been a big part of my family anyway. Like, same, almost, it mimicked the same thing as high school, middle school, elementary school. Every Friday, I was in my Auntie Margie's salon, or I was at my Auntie Yolanda's house, wash, press, curl, or wash, press, braid, whatever, for as long as I can remember. My mother didn't know how to do my hair. She didn't know what to do with my hair. Obviously, I'm multiracial, and so my father was the caretaker of my hair, because he was the only boy of 4 sisters. He knew how to wash, blow dry, condition, press, French braid my hair, and he actually taught my mother a lot about how to take care of my hair. My father did. And so it was a lot of like a love-hate relationship with my hair. I loved the length of it, and it was always the thing that people saw when they saw me. And I think that was the love-hate part of it, because a lot of people didn't see me, they saw my hair. And so it was always Carolyn with the pretty hair. That was always like, oh, Carolyn with the long hair, Carolyn with the pretty hair. It was never like Carolyn. And so I think I took that identity on, and so I was the girl with the pretty hair. And so because of that, my hair always had to be fire. And if it wasn't, I never felt good. Like, I'm not going out and my hair ain't done. You crazy. I'm not showing up at something. So I would miss a lot of stuff because of if my hair wasn't fire, what you're not going to do is be like, I seen Carolyn, her hair done fell off. Like, they wasn't going to happen.
No one will ever say that.
You'll never say
Not
that.
Never. No.
And fortunately, because I love this part of me, I have carried that into my adulthood, where my hair is, again, still very much my thing, but it represents me in a different way. So now it's a lot about finding my freedom, because, again, like I said, my hair was always a thing. So every Friday I was in the salon, which meant Saturday and Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, what you better not do is sweat that hair out. What you better not do is tear your hair up at recess. Yes. Like, I would get a whooping. Like, if I came home and my hair was a hot mess, and my mom done spent her money or somebody spent her time to get my hair done, I came home with a mess. She is bad. So I would get in trouble, that kind of things. And so, that was a thing. Like, it was always on my mind. Like, it was always a thing. And so I remember the first time I cut my hair off. I cut my hair off at 13 without my mother's permission.
Oof, you
I
were
went
living
to
on
the
the
salon. I
line.
was. I went
Ooh,
to the
how did that
salon.
go?
So that was the Anita Baker, Halle Berry
Ooh, you
days
did a
with the first
cut like
haircut.
that? Don't
And I
asking
keep
your
in
mom.
mind, my hair was waist
You
length
cut
most of
all
my
of that?
life. I most certainly did. So I used to not go to the salon by myself. My mom would go with me. But as I got older, she didn't need to go with me. So she let me go to the salon by myself.
Mm,
And that was like my first pushback against, like, you don't control my hair. I
mhm.
went to the salon, 13 years old, cut it off, like
And
shade
the stylist
sides.
didn't like. I
I mean,
used
she
to.
assumed I had my mother's
I
permission.
used to make girls get a note.
So,
Like
oh
I
no,
used to, and
she probably wish she
especially
had,
because I
but
would know their mom. I'd be like, no, no, no. I need to talk to your
no,
mom because she's not.
cut it all off. She was
Yes, she
pissed.
was. No
She
doubt.
was pissed. I got in trouble. I remember
Yeah.
it was a big deal for a long. My father was angry. Keep in mind, my father lived in Chicago. I'm in Detroit. When he found out about it, he was like, he wasn't even there. That he
That's
was,
so
she did
interesting,
what?
though.
Like, so, and I couldn't understand, like, it's my hair, it's my
And like
decision. But
right now, I still don't understand that because it's not. It's your decision. It looked great.
yeah, oh, that cut was, you couldn't have told me nothing about that cut. It was
So
fire.
yeah, it's
So
interesting. Some of the elders that have a thing about don't cut your
don't
hair. Don't,
cut your hair.
why?
Why?
Oh my gosh, this is just do what you
Do
do.
what you
Make sure it
do.
looks good and it's healthy.
Yeah. But I learned that from that moment, and really every moment forward, if you ever want to pay attention to shifts in my life, it's
Yeah.
usually represented in my hair. I either cut it off or I change the color. It's something drastic though. It's very rarely that I go through a significant transition and I don't change anything about my hair. It's very rare. Even from that first time all the way up until now throughout my life, that usually represents some sort of transition. So I've had an interesting love-hate relationship. I would say the other part of it that's important to mention is my profession. It's a very white profession, right? In psychologists, there are 3% of psychologists of color in the world, right? I think it's 4.3% now, up from 3%, which it had been for forever. And so it's a very European dominated world. And so, how you, in a very male dominated world, even though it's a higher percentage of female psychologists, and we'll leave that for another day. But one of the things that was very understood in the profession is how you show up very clean, very in your suit, with your hair straight, looking very European. And I'll never forget this. This is a moment where my hair was probably one of the most painful and beautiful things in my life at the same time. I'll never forget this when I was interviewing for my internship interviews. I was finishing my PhD and preparing for my internship. And I had a chair and advisor who is still my mentor and advisor to this day, by the way. Shout out Dr. Huzina. But he and I had a wonderful relationship. I felt like I could be honest and transparent with him always, and he was always that with me. And I'm very, very grateful. A lot of people don't have that in their journey. But anyway, he pulled me to the side one day after class. We had practicum or internship class or something. I can't remember. He asked me to stay after, and I stayed after. And he said, "I'm gonna say something, and I don't even know how I'm gonna say it because it makes me completely uncomfortable. But I care about what happens to you, and so I need to have this conversation." And I was like, "Okay." And I'm thinking it's about grades, like my academic journey, like what's going on. It was about my hair. And he was like, "Listen, I know the places you're interviewing at, and I know your hair is your thing." And at this time, my hair was, I think, even longer than it is now. And it was, when it was curly, it was super, super big. And he was like, "Tame your hair for your interviews." And I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was
Like
shocked.
I just felt something like
That was not the thing I ever thought
Yeah.
would be a thing. For him, though, it was a lot of places, and he wasn't lying. This
right.
is the
And he's
thing.
doing it out of
He was doing
protection.
it because he cared for me, right?
Protection. Yeah.
He was like, a lot of places are not going to celebrate your diversity. They're not
Yeah.
going to celebrate that space. And if your hair is taking up the room and
Wow.
they're trying to talk to you about an internship, or they feel like students are going to see a black girl first, and they're not going to want to come to you. And he wasn't lying. He wasn't lying. And I remember during internship, intentionally, every single internship interview, my hair was either straight or it was pulled back in a ponytail and not even accessible as a part of my face. And I remember being so upset about having to hide myself. I felt like it was a hiding of myself,
Yeah.
even though I love wearing my hair straight. So
Yeah.
it wasn't even about that.
But it's
It
like,
was about the intentional take it away.
right, right.
Matter of fact, take away all of you that represents that. And I need you to just show up now. The truth of the matter is everything he said was correct. And because of that, I matched to my number one spot. I got all of the things that I wanted, but also I had to remove a layer of myself when I did it.
Yeah.
So guess what happens when I got internship? That first week, guess how I showed up?
Luscious.
This what you got.
Mhm.
Right. And the thing was, thank God I had a black training director.
Yeah.
Thank you. Shout out to Stacy. Thank you, Dr. Stacy, who celebrated me and
Yeah.
supported me. And she was like, I need you to show up in all your color, like all of it. And I thank God for that. But I know that I had friends and colleagues in other places, black women, that could not, they wouldn't dare show up at their internship sites as that person. And when I think about the most painful hair experience I've ever had in my life, that was it. That was it. Because and keep in mind, my advisor was a white male. Dr. Basina is a white man. So having to hear that from him to me out of concern, but still him saying to me, I need you to not show up like the black woman you are. That's crazy.
We have to navigate spaces so differently.
But he was right.
And we have to tone us down a lot of times in order to be accepted.
We do.
Or to just be considered. Not even accepted.
Not
just
even
to
accepted.
Be considered.
Yeah.
You sometimes have to tone yourself down here.
You do. You do. You do. And it's funny because full circle, now that I'm, of course, a trainer of developing black psychologists, that's one of the first stories I tell them always. And I tell them that so that they understand the field that they're coming into, because not much has changed, but also so that they understand I don't ever want you to dumb down your rap, right? Present yourself in the room and feel comfortable and safe enough to do that, because I hate that I didn't feel safe enough to do that. Might it have cost me an opportunity? Possibly, but I'll never know that. But I think enough has changed now, and I don't mean changed in the field, but changed about our comfort with how we present ourselves in the field, it's important to me to empower. When I have students with locks, when I have students with braids, when I have students with afros and big curls, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. And I tell them all the time, don't change that. Show up in the room as who you are and let them navigate their stuff. Don't change anything about that. And that's been a joy for me to sort of, I wish I had been able to navigate that differently, recognizing that at that time and space, I might not have been able to, but I'm certainly going to celebrate my students doing it now. And I've had so many students over the years that have hit me up, later, like, Dr. Davis, thank you for showing up as your authentic self, because it helped me to show up as I would have never walked in the room with my hair big or blah, blah, blah. But I saw you and I was like, oh, she bad. And her hair is wild. Like, it's whatever. And that for me has probably been the most significant moments of pride in my life, is that. And so, yeah, crazy hair journey. Yeah. And now at 50, I'm like, whatever.
Oh yeah, we letting that stuff.
Let it do what it do.
You mentioned showing up as your authentic self, and there was a bit of a conversation piece that came to mind and think about our conversation today. Not necessarily hair related, but it was directly along the lines of showing up as your authentic self. Speak to the idea of being maybe not palatable for everyone. How do you show up as your authentic self when your authentic self might be considered kind of brash or offensive or inappropriate for some groups? Asking for a friend. Okay. And I will tell you why I asked this and why I specifically wore this cute little shirt that I told you about earlier to make sure I would forget, because I wore this shirt when we were in Dallas at our dinner, and like to the same and the picture that you and I took, and like what I shared with you, I won't even say now because I know it's not palatable, but I'm going to show you what I said. And then you speak to that, okay? Because what I said probably wouldn't be very kosher and our sorority and stuff like that. So how do you speak to being authentic.
Who said that?
I said that about me. Remember, I said that's how I felt like I looked when we took our picture like
Oh my God, I do not remember that.
So,
And I was with you. Like, that's my
so,
book.
so how do you remain authentic
Oh wow.
when some things just might not be appropriate for some,
Yeah.
or in some settings,
But
or
it's
it might
still who
be
you are.
offensive or crass in some settings?
Oh,
How do you what's the word I'm looking for? How do you
like accommodate others?
yeah no how do you marry those two?
Oh,
How do you that's the word I'm looking for that I can rectify. How do you rectify that?
I don't know that I rectify it because rectifying it implies that how I show up is problematic.
True. So
And
that's not the word
I
I'm looking
wanna not, yeah, I wanna not own that. But so showing up as my authentic self really has never been um I think a cut and dry sort of safe space for me. I've always been fairly outspoken. If you know any of my friends that have known me since childhood, they would be like, Carolyn was a whole grown woman at like 5 years old. Like
Let them
she
have
would
it on
cuss the
playground.
teacher out. She would cuss the bus driver, the grown people. Carolyn would be having grown conversations with. There's truth in that.
Absolutely.
There's truth in
And that
that.
I'm sure is why we instantly connect.
That part. So
Yes.
I own that, but I recognize there are many times, and I'm particularly thinking about my childhood where there probably was an inappropriateness of it, or maybe a bad rub because of it, particularly because people didn't believe in children talking to adults in an adult way. And I think as I grew older, I used to try and sort of silence myself, keep my opinion, and just because I knew that that was the thing that I was going to get called out for. That I was always the girl, your mouth gonna get you in trouble, and not because I was saying anything wrong, which I'm sure sometimes I was, but I mean that the intent of it wasn't about that. It wasn't about you too smart for your own good. You talk, you know too much. Stop talking, you know, that kind of thing. And so as I got older, I would always remember that. So sometimes I would sit in the room and be very knowledgeable and be very aware and wouldn't speak. Because I didn't want to be perceived as she talked too much. She thinks she know everything. She knows too much, or she didn't know how to respect authority or those kind of things. So it took me a while to marry my self-confidence with messages I had received growing up about what was acceptable as a woman, what was acceptable as a little black girl to a grown black woman, what areas I could authentically show up and it wouldn't be perceived as domineering or bitchy or this whole, what's the label I'm looking for, like strong, or but not strong in a good way. Aggressive, that's the word that I'm looking for. It was never assertive, by the way. It was always aggressive. And so I remember early in my career, I remember very clearly, depending on the rooms that I was in, I would be silent a lot, even when I had information to share, even when I had contributions to make. I wouldn't, because I was worried about how that would be perceived. I think the more I grew into myself, and of course my identity, my strengths, really understanding what they were, and being a lot more confident in what I brought to the table. Because of course, when you're new and you're young, you don't really know those things yet. You're learning and you're developing it. And it came a time where I just could no longer be like baby in the corner. Like, nah, you can't put baby in the corner. And at this point, it's gonna be what it is. We're gonna go head to head with it or whatever. But I also, and I said this before, I would see my students in the room watching me. And so for me, it was about, if I can't find my voice, how do I teach them to find their voice? And so that was how I would be empowered. And I got to tell you, it got to a certain point in my career, not for nothing. And I don't mean this facetiously or arrogantly. I mean it honestly, where I knew I was the smartest person in the room. I knew there's no more about this particular subject or topic that anybody in here knows than me. You know, I know because I've done my work, I've done my homework, I've done the research, or this is my particular area of expertise. And so I've spent, you know, the time, the effort, the labored hours learning as much as I could. So I didn't feel like I was doing myself any favors by sitting there and not talking. And once that was unleashed, and once that dog was unleashed, it wasn't going back. So it just was what it was. And then
What
I
dog
got,
was it? I'm sorry.
if I had answered that, this would not be an appropriate podcast.
I'm so sorry. I cannot resist.
That part. But and so now in my profession and or anywhere, how I show up anywhere, professionally, personally, or anywhere, you just gonna get what you get. If you love it, you loved it. If you hate it, that's your right. And I'm not asking you to be connected to me if you choose not to. I'm just fine with that. But I don't need to show up for anybody else anymore. I show up the way that I show up, and it's good, and it's authentic, and it's transparent. I don't gotta explain myself, and I don't have to go back and question myself about what I did, how I acted, because I know it was authentic.
Yeah.
So it's been a journey, though. It's definitely a journey.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that little off hair topic. Well, thank you very much for your hair insight. There's actually one last question that I ask everyone. Has nothing to do with hair. It's actually a little research that I've been doing, and I'm taking this opportunity to further it and get out in the field and get some answers. So this is the question. What is the very, very first memory you have ever? Jog your brain, take a minute. I know. Like what the very first memory.
Wow. I would say my 5th birthday party at Farrell's ice cream parlor.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to go beyond that, and I really can't. My 5th birthday party. Yeah.
Okay.
That I can remember as an actual memory and not like something that someone has shown me.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe if I spend some time, I could go back further, but off the rip.
Just anything particular at the party or just the party in general?
The balloons, the blue dress that I was wearing because I loved that little dress. I don't even know why. I don't know why. I remember that. So they used to wear like the little striped vest with the striped hat.
Mhm.
It was like an old school ice cream parlor.
Mhm.
And I remember the people coming out serving, like coming out with the cake in the vest, in the hat.
What was the name again?
Farrell's.
I think Kev just told me about that place.
Wow. I remembered. I want to say that was my 5th, either my 4th or my 5th birthday. I would have to confirm with my mom.
Okay.
But that's, yeah. I could probably go back further, give it some time, but off the rip, I remember that. Yeah.
Okay. That is great. Great info. I'll share with you my findings and some of my theories once we get off camera. Don't want to share it with the world. We're still knee deep in this project here. So thank you very much. Wonderful conversation. Great insight. And I'm on the couch with the doctor. I mean, come on.
But she's the doctor today.
So glad that you came here to sunny Las Vegas to do your conversation. It's beautiful. We got the palm trees, we got the sun, we got our hair. I got a nice rooted product that's in my Sans hair. By the time you guys see this video, it'll be September and it should be available. So please find me on rootedindallas.com for appointments, education, product. We will also be having product swap parties. Our first party was this summer in July, and it is a wonderful way to engage with the community, give back to the community. A swap party entails you bringing all those lovely products that you bought, tried, didn't work for you. They're just sitting there. It could be someone else's gold. Someone else can have your gold. So gather your products, bring them in, swap it out for what you want, learn about products in real time from people who are using it. If there's any monetary donations, those monetary donations, along with any unclaimed products, will be donated to schools, shelters, other places in need. A lot of schools have very loving teachers who go into their pockets to provide a hair arsenal for their students, so they know if they need help with their hair, they can go there. So in filling in the gap, which we will do, we are doing our part to help out those in need and those who care for others and make sure the babies have what they need. So, like I said, please visit us online, social media. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back with more. And thank you, Sam.
I loved it. This was so much fun.
Yay! See you guys.
This was so much fun.